During the day, your planted aquarium can look almost perfect. The water is clear, the plants are green, the fish are swimming normally, and everything seems calm, balanced, and healthy. You look at the tank with the lights on, and it feels like nothing is wrong. But the moment the lights go off, that same aquarium becomes a very different place. The plants stop producing oxygen. The fish keep breathing. The shrimp, snails, and bacteria keep using oxygen. Dead leaves, leftover food, and organic waste keep breaking down. Carbon dioxide can slowly build up, and if the tank is too still, too crowded, too overgrown, or too heavily fed at night, the real problem may begin while you are asleep. This is why some planted tanks look beautiful during the day, but quietly stress the fish every single night. Many beginners think aquarium problems happen when the water looks dirty, when algae appears, or when something obvious goes wrong in front of them. But one of the most dangerous planted tank mistakes happens when nobody is watching. It happens in the dark. It happens after the light turns off. It happens during the hours when the tank looks peaceful from the outside, but inside, oxygen is dropping and the animals are still fighting to breathe. A planted tank is not the same tank after the lights go off. During the day, aquatic plants use light to photosynthesize. They take in carbon dioxide, release oxygen, and help make the aquarium feel alive and stable. This is one of the reasons planted tanks can be so powerful. Plants are not the enemy. In fact, plants are one of the best things you can add to a freshwater aquarium. They absorb nutrients, create shelter, compete with algae, support microorganisms, and make fish feel safer. But plants do not remove the need for balance. A planted tank still has a night cycle. When the lights are on, plants can help oxygenate the water. When the lights are off, plants are no longer photosynthesizing. They are still alive, but now they are also using oxygen through respiration, just like fish, shrimp, snails, and bacteria. This does not mean plants are bad. It means a planted aquarium is a living system, and living systems change between day and night. The mistake is not having plants. The mistake is assuming that because plants look healthy during the day, the tank must also be safe at night. The fish do not only live in the aquarium while the lights are on, they live there through the whole night, when oxygen demand continues, but oxygen production has slowed down. That is where the hidden danger begins. The first signs can be easy to miss because they often appear early in the morning, before most people pay close attention. You may see fish breathing faster than normal when the room is still dark. Some fish may gather near the surface after a full night, even though they seemed fine the evening before. Shrimp may climb high on plants, driftwood, filter tubes, or even the glass near the waterline. Bottom fish that usually stay low may suddenly move into the upper part of the tank. Fish may look weak, pale, or lazy in the morning, but then seem normal again by afternoon after the lights have been on for a few hours. Sometimes only the weakest fish die one by one, while the water remains perfectly clear. This is what makes the problem so confusing. The tank does not look dirty. The plants may still be growing. The filter may still be running. There may be no bad smell, no cloudy water, and no obvious disaster. So the owner starts looking for the wrong cause. They blame disease, random weakness, or bad luck. But the pattern tells a different story. If the fish look worse in the morning and better later in the day, you should think about what is happening overnight. If you only judge your aquarium in the afternoon, when the lights have been on and the plants have been active, you may miss the entire problem. The tank you see at dinner time is not always the tank your fish survived before sunrise. The biggest mistake many planted tank keepers make is turning off almost all surface movement at night. This often comes from a good intention. People hear that too much surface agitation can drive off carbon dioxide, and they want to keep carbon dioxide available for their plants. So they aim the filter outlet downward. They keep the surface perfectly flat. They avoid air stones. They avoid sponge filters. They try to make the water look silent and still, because they believe this is better for plant growth. During the day, this may not cause an obvious problem, especially in a lightly stocked tank with healthy plant growth. But at night, when oxygen demand continues and plant oxygen production stops, a perfectly still surface can become a weakness. The surface of the water is where gas exchange happens. Oxygen enters the water there, and excess gases leave the water there. If the surface is too flat, too covered, or too blocked, the tank cannot breathe as well. You do not need violent splashing. You do not need to turn the aquarium into a washing machine. But you do need some gentle movement. A soft ripple across the surface can make a huge difference. Your plants do not need a silent surface at night. Your fish need a breathing surface. This is especially important in tanks with heavy plant mass, a lot of livestock, warm water, weak circulation, or a lot of organic material. The goal is not to destroy carbon dioxide balance. The goal is to stop treating a completely motionless surface as a sign of success. In many aquariums, the surface should not look dead. It should look alive, gently moving, quietly exchanging gases, and helping the whole tank stay stable through the night. Dense plants can also hide the problem. A heavily planted aquarium can look beautiful from the front glass. Thick stems, floating roots, moss, carpeting plants, and tall background growth can make the tank look mature and natural. But when plant growth becomes too dense, it can block circulation. Water may move well in the open front area, but become nearly still behind a large plant mass. Floating plants may cover too much of the surface. Stem plants may trap dead leaves in the lower sections. Moss can collect fine debris. Big root systems can slow flow. A tank may look lush and healthy from the outside, while certain corners become low-flow areas where waste settles and oxygen does not distribute well. Fish may avoid those spots, or weak fish may get stuck there. Shrimp may act restless. Bottom fish may stop using areas they used to enjoy. This is why a beautiful planted tank still needs maintenance. Trimming plants is not only about appearance, it is also about water movement. Removing dead leaves is not only about keeping the tank pretty, it is about reducing the organic load that bacteria must break down at night. Opening small pathways through the plants can help oxygen reach more areas of the aquarium. A dense planted tank should feel full, but it should not feel sealed shut. The fish should be able to move through it. Water should be able to pass through it. The surface should not be completely smothered. Nature is not a frozen picture. It has flow, exchange, and movement. Your aquarium needs the same thing, especially after dark. Another mistake that makes the night problem worse is heavy feeding late in the evening. Many people feed their fish at night because that is when they finally have time. They come home, enjoy the tank, and give the fish a large meal right before the lights go out. The fish rush around, everything looks active, and it feels harmless. But any uneaten food, extra fish waste, or trapped particles begin breaking down while the tank is entering its lowest oxygen period. The bacteria that process this waste also use oxygen. So if you feed heavily right before lights out, you are adding more oxygen demand at exactly the time when the tank has less oxygen production. On its own, a small evening feeding may not be a disaster. The problem is the combination. A heavy feeding, a crowded tank, dense plants, weak surface movement, old debris, and a flat surface can work together. Then the next morning, the fish looks stressed, and the owner does not connect it to the food from the night before. You do not have to stop feeding at night completely, but avoid giving the heaviest feeding right before darkness. Feed only what the fish actually finish. Remove obvious leftovers. Do not let food disappear into thick moss or behind plants where it rots unseen. If you want to protect your tank overnight, think of the last hour before lights out as a quiet period, not a time to overload the system. Let the tank enter the night clean, calm, and able to breathe. Carbon dioxide can also make the situation worse when the timing is wrong. In a high-tech planted tank, carbon dioxide helps plants when the lights are on, because plants can use it during photosynthesis. But when the lights are off, plants are not using carbon dioxide in the same way. If carbon dioxide continues running too late, turns on too early before the lights, or stays on after the lights shut down, fish can become uncomfortable, especially if gas exchange is weak. This does not mean carbon dioxide injection is bad. It means timing matters. Carbon dioxide helps plants when the lights are on, but it can punish fish when the timing is wrong. In a low-tech tank without injected carbon dioxide, this section may not apply directly, but the principle still matters. Gases in the aquarium are always changing. Oxygen, carbon dioxide, and surface exchange are connected. When people focus only on plant growth and ignore how fish breathe at night, the aquarium can become unbalanced. A beautiful planted tank should support both plants and animals. The plants should grow, but the fish should not pay the price every morning. The good news is that this problem does not usually require tearing the tank apart. You do not need to remove all the plants. You do not need to buy expensive equipment. You do not need to panic. Start with small, gentle changes. Aim the filter outlet slightly upward at night so the surface has a soft ripple. If your tank is heavily stocked or very dense, consider running an air stone or sponge filter overnight. It does not have to blast the tank. It only needs to help the surface breathe. Trim plants that completely block flow. Thin floating plants if they cover too much of the surface. Remove melting leaves before the lights go out. Avoid heavy feeding late at night. If you inject carbon dioxide, make sure it does not continue after the lights are off. Watch your fish early in the morning, before the tank has had time to recover. That morning observation is one of the most important tests you can do. Many people only admire their aquariums when the lights are bright and the plants look their best. But the most honest moment in a planted tank is often just before the light turns on. That is when you see whether the fish had enough oxygen through the night. Here is a simple test you can try tonight. Do not make a dramatic change. Just make the tank easier to breathe through the night. Feed lightly, or skip a heavy late feeding. Remove any obvious dead leaves. Check that thick plant growth is not completely blocking the filter flow. Adjust the outlet so the surface moves just a little more than usual. If you have an air stone or sponge filter and your tank is crowded, let it run overnight. Then, tomorrow morning, look at the fish before turning the lights on. Do not tap the glass. Do not feed immediately. Just observe. Are the fish gathered at the surface, or are they spread out normally? Are they breathing fast, or do they look calm? Are shrimp climbing high and acting restless, or are they grazing normally? Are bottom fish staying near the bottom, or are they trying to reach the upper water? If the tank looks calmer in the morning, after adding gentle surface movement, then your problem may not have been dirty water in the way you imagined. It may have been poor gas exchange at night. This is why clear water can fool you. A tank can be clear and still be stressful. A tank can be green and planted and still have low oxygen in the wrong hours. A tank can look perfect during the day and still become difficult for fish after midnight. The goal is not to make the aquarium look more technical. The goal is to make it more alive. A healthy planted tank is not only beautiful when the lights are on, it is also safe when the lights are off. It stays balanced when plants stop photosynthesizing. It gives fish enough oxygen when bacteria are still working, when organic waste is still breaking down, and when the room is dark. Beginners often care for the tank based on what they see during the day, but fish have to survive the night. So the next time your aquarium looks perfect, do not only ask whether the water is clear, ask whether the surface can breathe. Ask whether the plants are too dense. Ask whether food is breaking down in the dark. Ask whether the fish look calm before sunrise. The biggest planted tank mistake is thinking the tank stops changing when the lights go off. Your tank may look perfect in the daytime, but your fish survive the night.